A couple of weeks ago, we did a video about the OG Springbank Countdown Collection, and that is the Millennium Collection. This was a series of bottles that was released in the late 1990s, just past the millennium, and it goes 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 and 50-year-old Springbank. They're pretty amazing! Go and watch the video if you want to learn more about that. But there was one part of the puzzle that we couldn't solve in that last video because we didn't know the original retail prices. But thank you to Julian from Right Wines. We'll put his shop up on here. He's a wine merchant. And another one of the viewers here called Patrick, who both took the time to email me with original details. Now, first up, Julian, he's a retailer. So he originally sold these bottles, I believe, in the 1990s and early 2000s. And, you know, we'll put on screen the clip that he sent over. Now, it's the original price list that he sent out to his buyers. And it states that the releases started in September 1998 for £75 all the way up to March 2001 for the 50-year-old. Now, the retail prices are quite interesting. They range, well, the 25 was £75, the 30-year-old was 100, the 35 was 150, the 40 was 250, the 45 was 350, and the 50 was 500. So basically £1,425 for the full set in 2001. Now, don't you people start wanging on that whiskey is for drinking when Springbank Distillery were going to start, well, on the paperwork that it says here, that they were going to issue you, if you sent them copies of, or, you know, proof that you'd purchased all of the bottles, they would send you a complimentary set of miniatures and a set. You know, the fact that they were released in a set led them to be attractive to people who were going to collect them rather than drink them. There's a few people that I know have drank some of these, absolutely. They're meant to be amazing whiskies, and why have they drank them? Because they're still relatively affordable in comparison to other releases on the market. Now, when you look at this is all done, as we sort of talked about in that last video, as a way to generate sales. You know, they could have just released a 25-year-old and made no song about dance about it, and then released a 30-year-old the following year. But the fact that they made them as part of a series is, well, you know, the proof that they wanted people to buy and collect a full set. Now, what's interesting there, with these original retail prices, we can sort of look at an ROI. So in 2001, to have bought the full set would have cost you £1,425 if the RRP prices didn't change, and you were lucky to get them all at retail, and you didn't have to pay any shipping charges. But let's just use that £1,425 a figure. If you wanted to go and buy a full set today, rather than sourcing them piecemeal at auction, if you wanted to buy them as a full set, you'd expect to say about £5,000 for a complete set. That would represent a 2,707% return on investment. But there's a load of things that's interesting here. The first one, this is over 23 years. This wasn't when people were buying the first one and releasing and flipping it in auction like everyone else is doing that bloody Countdown Collection and making a quick profit. These have been held for 20 years. If you've got an original Springbank Countdown Collection set that you bought for 1,400 quid, yes, we can sell that for you for over £40,000. That is what you're going to get. If you were so short-sighted that you flipped them and made a very small profit on release and flipped them and made a very small profit on release, like almost everybody in this whiskey market does, you would have missed the point completely. You've got to invest your time when you're turning into a whiskey investor. You can't just buy these bottles and expect them to double in value every year. You've just got to be calm with it. And you know, that's one of the three things that this bottle in this series teaches us. You know, the first one, you know, whiskey investment, stop flipping, you know, stop taking the short-term gains, look for the longer-term ones. Sure, if your financial situation's changed, then yes, obviously it's fine to sell it and go ahead. But if you don't need to, like, why are you flipping it? Like, seriously, what are you going to replace it with for more money? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, second part, you've got to look for value. You've got to know that when these were released, Springbank was massively undervalued as a distillery. The distillery had closed in the 1980s and only just reopened through the 1990s. The whole Scotch whisky industry was in, you know, it was all right. It was just sort of dwindling and rumbling along gently. But people who bought these originally had the foresight to see the potential for these. Now, I talk a lot about Glenfarclas on this channel, and loads of you say, "Oh, it's Glenfarclas, a shite." Well, you're all welcome to your opinion, absolutely fine. I absolutely love them. I love the distillery, and I also think that when you look at them, they're significantly undervalued by the market. You've got to look at the long game with this. You've got to look at where the market is now and where that can potentially move to in the future. There's proof here that this has gone from £1,400 to £40,000. And a lot of that growth is actually in very recent years, sort of in the last 4 or 5 years. It doesn't take long for perceptions to change. What could happen to Glenfarclas in the next 5 to 10 years would rapidly transform the values of all of their previous stock. But anyway, I'll stop talking about that because it also shows another point. And the third point that this series highlights for any whiskey collector that's looking out there now, what to buy quality. Like, these are all high age statement releases. 25 years is normally at the top of most distilleries' core ranges at 25. But you've got a 30, a 35, a 40, a 45, and the ultra premium 50 as well. There is something fundamental propping up the value of these bottles in terms of you can't just go and make another 50-year-old Springbank today. You would have to have had the foresight to lay a cask down 50 years ago and leave it and leave it and leave it for 50 years before releasing it to market today. Why are all these new distilleries releasing no age statement bottles? Because they can churn them out super quickly and make a super quick profit. Some no age statement bottlings are absolutely fine, but don't go expecting monumental or astronomical growth from them in the medium to long term, because there is nothing really that fundamental propping them up if it's just a crappy Anvil release or Jubilee release or whatever it's going to be. It has to have something more fundamental about the whiskey and the properties of the whiskey. And also, if you've just watched the video about the Macbeth bottlings that we looked at from the new series from Elixir, there's something more. There's a bigger connected story pulling bigger parts of bigger people, artists in, artisans in, amazing crew producing amazing products. So there we go. Thank you, Julian, and thank you, Patrick, for sending over the amazing details that you did. And now we know what the Millennium Collection originally cost. And thank you all for watching. There's going to be lots more videos coming up, so make sure you like and subscribe to this channel.